Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome, welcome, welcome to this amazing opportunity for us to grow, to learn, and to ignite employee creativity. My name is Lisa Charles. I thought I put the name I used to go by when I was a prosecutor, Lisa Russell Charles, but I am so happy that you are taking this time out to really delve into something that is truly near and dear to my heart. And I hope by the end of this will be near and dear to yours as well. So I'm just gonna move a couple of things here. Okay. It appears that here we go. So, just while we get started up, I would love just to know a little bit more about people that are here. And so if you could share a little information about your business, your profession. I think, one of the most incredible things that we have an opportunity to do is build connection. And so I'm looking forward to just building connection through this, just to let you know what to expect. I always want to know before I delve into something. This is going to be around 60 minutes long. And yes, please take a note. There is going to be a Q&A session at the end. And of course, I always, with anyone that has taken the time to come out to see me and to be a part of what I have to share, I'm going to have a little gift for you at the end of this session. But yes, I just want you to be fully engaged and really at this time, actually also look at how anything that I cover really relates to your work environment, because I want to make this absolutely something that's going to be mutually beneficial. Quick bio about myself, not going to go in this. I always believe people can read, but I always say, I was from federal prosecutor to singer actress, and then into the fitness and wellness field, and had an opportunity to do some things in the Rutgers University Brain Health and Wellness Unit in Alliance. And that was pretty amazing. It just kind of pull all the pieces together. And so, it really is a focus on why I look at wellness as this integrated aspect, this wellness reimagined, that we take all aspects of wellness and we bring it to every aspect of our lives. And so that's just a little brief thing about Lisa Charles. So today, really, we're going to focus in on the 5 ways, and honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, it's more than 5, but I picked some of the 5 most powerful ways to enhance creativity. And I do just want to do a quick little poll. I know the people that are here, we had a quick little poll that we put together, and I want to know what is standing in what is your creative block. So if you're here, maybe you've experienced a creative block. And so I just want you to pick one. That's it. And if this is the one that most relates to you, and that is just going to give me a sense of where we are with regards to this. So don't take much time on it, just like, boom, whatever came to mind first. And then we'll just go from that. Okay. I'm going to say voting stopped. But you can see some of the things I have. And in my work, I often see these are the things that come up: personal challenges and workplace things. And so let's just see what it said. Oh, mental block, overthinking. I'm not surprised. That is something that is really, you're not alone. And it is something that truly happens and can be very frustrating, I think. As you go through. So, I'm not going to harp on these, but I love working with companies, big and small, individuals. And my whole thing is really some work I did with one of the hospitals when I was in New Jersey. My whole thing is to bring things that are creative, innovative, and really are going to get you to that point, next level wellness. So just to set the table, I always like to set the table with regards to anything I'm talking about. We're talking about the same thing. So when we talk about creativity, often people really do think this is a kind of a traditional definition: imagination, original ideas, and you want to get past the block. You mentioned about the, overthinking, but it also is those things that really relate more to creative expression. So you want to think about something that the UN even had, and it was called intentional creativity. And they use this as a way to dealing with women that have gone through trauma and covering it from a mental and physical side. So there's so many other aspects of what creativity can mean. I think for our purposes today, you want to also think about how it helps you to solve problems. And I don't put it last because it's not it's least important, but communication with others. So creativity is going to be a linchpin. It's going to help you in so many different ways. Good news is, if you don't feel like you're overly creative, and I know I've gone to rooms and I say, okay, who here is super creative? And there'll be like 3 or 4 people that raise their hand. And I'm really looking at the whole room saying everyone is potentially super creative. But when we talk about this, increasing creativity, it is just giving you that greater sense of freedom. I just love that word, freedom. It really always makes me happy when I think about it, because it is really one of the things that slows everyone down in their progress when they chain themselves either in limited thinking or boxes that we place ourselves. Self-awareness, it's going to build that faith. But, I mentioned about it being a health paradigm here. It's going to relieve some of that stress, and it's going to help you to be the better problem solver. So this is where you're going to be positioning yourself. That's why we do it. So at the end of the day, how do you get there? Right. So you have these blocks, or you're overthinking, or there are limits that you've placed on yourself that you don't even know about. How can you break out of those things? And yes, there are things that can be done instantly. There are things that take a little bit more time, but I want you to remember that there are things that are right at your fingertips, things that you can do, things that you can have access to that can really monumentally change really not only your relationship with creativity, but imagination, about your freedom to be able to express yourself. And in that brings a sense of relief, happiness. Happiness brings health. So we're going to hit all of these, going to go through them. I always say that there is an effect that you can have. And this is, I say that this is the piece of your power. So the breath effect, art effect, rim effect, stay tuned, daily habit effect, and your fitness effect. And each one of these, I promise you, you have access to at any moment in any part of the day. And so that's what we really want to focus on. So I was talking about, utilizing creativity, even in a healing effect, and how that can heal the body. And there are so many aspects of breathing that are healing. So if you're out there and you, of course, are breathing, I will tell you a couple of fun little facts. So I want to move you out of the negative of this fact into the positive of these facts. But there are estimates somewhere up to 90% of people globally breathe shallowly. That means just utilizing a piece of their chest breathing. And breathing is so tied to stress because it is really instrumental in regulating your nervous system. And so what I want to do is give you a couple of other ways of looking at breathing. And I actually want to give you a little exercise that you can do right now. That'll be yours. And partly, I told you, I give gifts. That'll be yours and yours alone to utilize whenever you need it. Okay, so the breath effect. So a couple of things about the breath. As I said, it is something that really brings you present. So when we think about slow breathing, we think about measured breathing, inhalation, exhalation, the best of it being the exhalation is twice as long as the inhalation. It really, truly does anchor you to being here in the present, opposed to living in the past with past regrets or something you should have said or should have done, or living in the future with regards to worry about something that has not happened and may not happen in the way that you think. And so what breath does is it really can anchor you in your ability to focus, your ability to concentrate, your ability to really take in what is before you so that how can you possibly make a decision about something or move it in a different direction if you really never understood what you were facing or what was before you? And so I love when we think about taking it slow and finding, I'm going to say, almost a deep sense of silence. There's a founder of the Art of Living. He said, it's like deep silence is the mother of creativity. So I'm moving you into a creative zone that is going to allow you to, by your breath, open up different pathways, open up different neural connections in your brain that are going to allow you the opportunity to be free in thought and allow those thoughts to come in. When we talk about the nervous system, there's something called the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So really simple, think of parasympathetic as rest and digest, and sympathetic is fight and flight. And most people stay somewhere in that thought process, somewhere in that part of the body, and that is high stress. And if you're stressed, not only are you hurting your body in so many different ways, but you are also putting yourself in a position where you can't possibly allow your mind, your brain, your subconscious and conscious mind to come together to really bring forth ideas, inspirations. So before I even get into a little bit more about the brain, the body, and all of that, I just want to give you this one exercise, and I'm going to invite you to do it right now. It's really simple, simple, simple. You're going to take these two fingers, your pointer and a finger next to it. You're going to put it on your forehead, right near your eyebrows, light touch. You're not, nothing is heavy, nothing. The other two fingers, your thumb and your ring finger, are going to be on either nostril. And I'm just going to tell you about alternate nostril breathing. Fingers up here, closing off one nostril, breathing in the opposite, closing that one off and breathing out the opposite nostril. Let's just do one more together. Breathing in the one that's open, closing it and breathing out the other. And I invite you to do, first of all, you're getting a full amount of oxygen just to permeate the brain at the time. So it's amazing. But outside of that, it is going to move you more into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to be where your better ideas are going to be able to float to the surface. And it's going to move you out of that distressing side of things. So if you find that you're being very distressed about thoughts, a deadline, you need to come up with something, you need to solve a problem, this breathing, and this is just one of many types of breathing, can be a conduit to full body relaxation. It is amazing. I was reading about international trends, and there is a trend right now in the US that really is pointing to creative energy is waning. And whereas we'd always been in the top 10 globally, we are no longer in the top 10. And I happen to think that a lot of it can be tied to high levels of stress. Of course, the World Health Organization says that we are in an epidemic when we talk about stress levels and burnout. So I want to give you this tool. This is going to be one of the wonderful things that are going to allow you to move the thoughts from different parts of your brain to allow both your conscious mind and subconscious mind to come together in unison. So the prefrontal cortex is really where you lie and lay most of the time. And this is a good thing. You're very aware, you're very focused, you can take in information. It's a safety valve to make sure that you can take in enough information, mix it with things that you knew from the past to know, should I go here? Should I do this? Is this person who I should talk to? Is it not? You're putting together so much information instantly almost. And so you live in that area a good deal of the day. Problem being that when you're so hyper thinking, and people put overthinking, you're there. And that is a beautiful place to be for some portion of the day, but some portion you have to allow a relaxation. So you're not just, let's say, hyperfrontality, which is all in the frontal lobe. You want to allow through breath for your body to really reset and to utilize all different aspects. So when we think about thinking, there are really three modes. So there's convergent thinking, which is logic. divergent, which is imaginative and creative, and lateral, which is both. And this is what I want you to be able to get to by way of doing great breathing exercises. This is what I love bringing to the table when I come to companies, is to give them this other way that people can achieve that kind of state. They don't have to go to a 20-minute class, or they don't have to leave the facility, but they'll have the ability to take themselves through different exercises. This I just wanted to put because I think it really gives you some further information of what we're looking at when we look at the brain, right? So there's frequencies of the brain that are going on all the time. And if you look at what, really on the beta side of things, you can see what I was talking about, the waking consciousness. You're very alert, you're very logical, it's critical reasoning, you're in that convergent side of the thinking process, and we spend a lot of time there. We need to be able to downshift into the alpha, and this is going to allow for that connection between the conscious and the unconscious mind, more flowing thoughts and more creative thoughts, because you are a more relaxed brain. And if I had your brain up on the scan, I would actually be able to see the waves as you see them right here. You can even see how softer those waves are when you get into alpha, and then of course in theta and delta, when you're in deep meditation, and then delta is when you're in sleep. But I want to give a nod out to the gamma rays there. So you can see those are going fast and furious. And often I will take people into that area of the brain, look at it as higher processing of tasks, right? So you're very, very cognizant, very, very functioning, highest level. You can come up with some really great decisions in that state, coming in and out of that state. So that is a whole different type of breathing that you would do to get that kind of awareness. So not everything is taking you down and really slowing it down. Some things are allowing you to do it in a different way. This is just illustrated for you what would be one of those breathing exercises where we could actually see that there is an overall arch and flow from taking you from different brain waves and then doing it and ending with sort of a mixed brain waves. And there are frequencies that the brain is on for each of these. And I'm not going to spend much time on that, but we utilize music and sound and all to be able to get you into those frequencies and to stay in those frequencies. It is so intricate, it is so amazing, but it is so easily done when you understand what to do. Just want to say for that, it is a game changer. So I want you to think about that different way and modality of thinking. We talked about the convergent, which is logical, divergent, which is imaginative, and then the lateral, which is both. And let the breath be able to take you into that kind of lateral thinking, because then you're seeing all facets of what's before you, which I think is pretty amazing. I think we had a second poll that I would love to put up. These polls help me just get a little further insight on where you are, what is being offered. And so now that I know you have a racing mind, which is okay, racing mind, we have ways of getting past it. Let's see if we can get that other poll right up. Poll number 2. Yes. So this is often something I'm interested to see where your mindset is. What are you looking for when it talks about sparking creativity? So I've talked to you about breathing programs and things like that. What is it that is going to move you forward off of the racing mind? Is it programs? Is it, taking more breaks? Is it time off? I just want to know from your perspective. Just give it a second. And as always, don't overthink it. And best yet, if your answer is not here, put it in the chat, because that's awesome. I honor the chats. I love the chats, and I always go back over them and see. Oh, that's beautiful. So let's just see. All right. Okay. It's almost split. Every time is so different. So this is really kind of cool for me. Everyone wants a little bit more time off, so that I am not surprised at that. But sometimes a good, put together corporate program can weave in issues of time off and making sure that there are sufficient issues and that's being taken care of as well. So thank you for that. That was very helpful. The artifact. All right, I absolutely love this. So you're talking to someone who left the practice of law after 15 years as a federal prosecutor, state prosecutor, and went into what? Art. I was a singer and actress for a while before getting into the wellness field. And it is amazing how impactful art is on the body. So we already know that there's art therapists that can help people that are dealing in trauma. There are art therapists that I knew that worked when I was a prosecutor, that worked with some of the cases that I had and helping people to do. But you know what? Art should be something that is in any corporate environment, because that inner artist, this is not just something that's a really lovely thing to think about. And wouldn't it be nice if someone had something like that? It is an imperative. We live our family life, our friend life, our work life, our mental health. One of the things that really grounds us is our grounding in the beauty that is around us, the beauty that is inside that comes forward, and the beauty that is around us. It brings us our inspirations. It motivates us in many ways. And so everyone here could close their eyes and paint the sky internally with the thoughts you had, that internal paint of the blues that you love, of the white clouds, of whatever you see, you're able to do. Art is all around us, and it is a healer. And it also is one of those things that helps with de-stressing, right? It's a de-stressor. So the artifact, wow. This is going to be something, and in some companies they do have, and they have had this. So this is not just an odd thing that's never been done before, but sometimes it's done in a different way. So a company will come in and say, okay, let's have a Zumba class, or let's have an art class, or let's have and it's in the silo. And yet, if people were engaged in artistic kind of programs, even to problem solve, it is a way for the brain to really not only go to that lateral type thinking, where it's really utilizing different aspects of how you make decisions in different aspects of the brain, but it also seeds it with amazing ideas that come from abstract thinking, right? Colors can be a catalyst for thought. It can be a catalyst for when we talk association skills. And we have all seen this. You see a picture of something and you say, oh, that reminds me of something else. And then you can attach it to something completely different because of your own internal ability in your brain to associate. And all of these skills are enhanced when we engage in art. So you can't, what is it? All work and no play. You can't have all work and no play. You have to have the mind to be able to play, and the mind can play. And when it does, it is free, and it can be free from constraints. I even hear about societal constraints, but I mean sometimes your own boxed constraints you put on yourself for what you think you should be doing, thinking, or how you think this problem should be solved. We do that all the time because we've been trained. So we have school thinking, we have advanced training thinking, we have our supervisor thinking, we have our family thinking, and all those thinking ways sometimes get involved with our ability just to be free to think the way we want to think, and to be open to solving something, not because it's been done that way for the last 10 years, because there's a new way that has never been done, that has never been seen, and I have to allow my mind to be able to do that. It is also the way to really authentically get to what your thoughts are. So when I said about school and advanced training and whatever you're doing at work and what you do at home and bringing those things, sometimes those processes and those thoughts are not authentically completely you. And so this is going to be a way for you to get into that part of you that really can come up with some pretty extraordinary things. What would this look like? Oh, I love the artifact. So the artifact would be painting. I have a whole list of things. I love these things: painting, dance, instrument, language, poetry, photography, gardening, interior design. baking, and taking aspects of that and bringing it into the corporate environment. This is what I love to do. It doesn't have to be the outside, when you get home, take a class. No, it's bringing different aspects of these things right into the corporate environment and allowing these things to be a catalyst to change on a particular project or in a particular group. This is really the fun part, because for me, this is how my creative mind works. This is where I can really get into doing different things and getting people thinking a little bit different. But just think about this. These are the things that happen when you bring art in. So I'm not just saying it for no reason. I just want you to hear these words and think what this could mean in your own environment. If we could enhance tolerance, foster kindness, bring harmony, expansion of thought, collaboration, respect, healing. All of those words are going to enhance a positive, happy mood. And here's the good news. I don't care what science, I'm kind of a little science geek with the brain-body connection. I don't care what science study you look at. Happiness brings health. The happier you are, the healthier you are. The happier you are, the healthier you are, and the more flexible your mind will be. And this is what we're looking for, which is great. And it can be done in so many different ways, but all of them are going to be this. Artifact will bring inspiration, will heighten imagination, creativity, and all of those things together, which are really super right side of the brain. But now we're going to bring it to the logic side to bring in innovation. This is what we want. We're lateral thinking, everything together, right side, left side, right? And I can't tell you, you bring in those things, and I've seen it happen. It is amazing. The mood enhancer. It just makes people so much happier. So that is the art effect. And we have the breath effect. And I mix them together. It's like a fine stew, I tell you. This is the rim effect, and this is going to take you in a different place. But if, people that are here, I would love for you to tell me, when I say rim effect, can you put in the chat, what am I talking about? So I just want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. Do you know? And it's okay if you don't. This is really not a quiz. I'm not going to be giving any quizzes at any time. But the rim effect is one of the key crucial ways. Thank you very much, Miss Stephanie. I want to unlock all aspects. We got the art, we got the breathing, different ways to do it, different days to do different things in different ways, and all on the same realm to make you the best of who you are. But this is going to have a little homework to it. So the rim effect, as you said. So one of the things that I love to speak on, and I've traveled globally to speak on, is sleep. It is one of those things, I call it the little Cinderella of health. It is one of those things people say things like, I know I must do it. It's probably good for me to do it, but I just don't. I don't have time, or I never sleep. I'm different. I'm one of those rare people that don't need enough sleep. And I say, okay, let's take a look at your brain scan and then get back to me to let me know that you are one of those rare people that need sleep. But I digress. REM sleep is really at the height of sleep. We have all of the 4 stages. I'm not going to go through all the 4, but suffice it to say that when you get to the REM sleep, this is where all of those great connections are made in your brain. So you've taken all this amazing information in the frontal cortex, because we have some high-powered people on this call, and I know you are taking in information, you are taking in relationships, you are putting the connection with the relationship, with this piece of information, with something that you read, 6 months ago, you're putting it all together, and you're trying to come up with that final solution that's really going to take that creative edge on the project you have, but yet you don't sleep. Oh no. Well, the key is that if I can get you to do all those stages of sleep and know that that REM sleep, which just really briefly is right after that stage 3 deep sleep, you head into REM sleep where all the pieces come together. Think of it like a fine, really one of those really difficult puzzles where the pieces are so small and you're trying so hard to think and you can't see it globally. You're seeing isolatedly, trying to get just the sides or what. When you sleep and you make it through REM, it's when the picture can be seen as a whole and you can start to pull together pieces that you couldn't do in your conscious mind. It is when the connections are strengthened. And when those connections are strengthened at the end of the day, it is when you can wake and, I see something a different way I never saw it before. How many people here have woken up and said, that's what I'll say. That's the way it should go. That's the third requirement. Those are the 3 ways I should say it. And you can do it. And if you're smart enough and have a journal right in your bed, that's what's happening. So this is something, this REM effect is something that really helps with creativity. If you find that you're overthinking, if you find that you are stuck and you say, well, Lisa, I do a little art and yes, please send me more of the breathing. And I love that, but I'm still not getting it. Let's take a look at your sleep because that might be one of the biggest things that's staying in your way. It's standing in your way of the success that is for you, destined for you. So sleep hygiene, sleep routines. I love working with companies because I put together sleep groups and you guys are going to be on top of each other on the hygiene and routines, and so that you can make it something that is a community. It's not just an individual effort, it's a community effort. And I just want to give a quick nod to the power nap. All right, so this is just some things I have up here. Just so you can take these things down, copy the screen. That's what I do. But you really want to improve your sleep habits. Everyone needs somewhere between 7 and 9 hours. Get rid of your computer, get rid of the bright light, get rid of the blue light because it is affecting you. And you see things about temperature and eating, but just a quick nod to the power nap. If you haven't done it, it is pretty extraordinary. I do power naps and they can be as short as 5 minutes. And in the beginning, I used to set my timer and I wouldn't have to set it because I wanted to make sure it was 5 minutes. I would do a series of deep breathing to get me ready. I could do that alternative breathing like I gave you earlier with your 2 fingers on your eyebrows and the other 2 closing off nostrils in an alternating fashion. You can just do deep breathing, breathing in, exhaling for twice as long as you did the inhalation. And get yourself ready and then close your eyes, put your timer on and see if you can really get the benefits of those power naps. They are incredible for the brain. They are incredible for the brain and it gives you a little bit of what it does. Yes, the NASA 26-minute power nap. I'm telling you, it will change your life. If you don't have that much time, I just want to let you know you can get the benefits in a shorter amount of time. I'm very aware I had said that once in one of my things and someone put in the chat about the NASA 26-minute. Someone said, I don't have 26 minutes. So I just want to let you know, if 26 minutes, awesome. If you don't, you still can get benefits from it and they are incredible. Next effect is daily habit effect. And this one is just what you do. So I mentioned about the journaling. I mentioned about the breathing. And breathing and meditation can come so close in line with one another. I will tell you, every time I speak, every time that I am putting together a project, I spend much time in the preparation and meditation. Because I want to be able to not just put things down that are based on other people's thoughts or based on what I've done before. I sometimes just want to meditate on what I'm trying to accomplish, the bigger picture of it, and allow between meditation, between breath, and between sleep for ideas to naturally flow. So some of these things I have up here, which is really incredible. When I was in the Brain Alliance at Rutgers, this is how you take care of your brain. This meditation, this learning something new, this movement, this walking in nature, playing something new, challenging yourself. Every time you do something different, like let's say if you're a famous photographer and you come into a studio and you always do something, a certain way, but this time you set it up in a different way and you do it in a different frequency or different situation, you may find that something new comes out of what you bring, the final product. So it's even doing it in the things that you're so used to doing, just mixing it up. It makes new neuron connections, which are incredible. Increíble is what I wanted to say. So these habits, you start small, you build on them. I would love for you to take a couple of these habits I have here. I put a bunch there. I always say, don't stay, I'm going to do all 12, no, start somewhere, but do it consistently and see. There are so many different aspects. And when I say grounding, just so you know, spending some time out on the ground in your bare feet. That is correct. There is energy sources that come from the earth that will come into your system, and it is incredible. 10 minutes of that can be health and healing, but also can ignite some of the things that we're talking about. These are just things I did say just pick one, but if you could pick all of these, this would be really great, because one of the things that brings best those neuron connections internally are the connections that we make with other people, friends, family members, extended people that you just met on the street, and the ability to talk to them, maybe see them if they're someone that you see constantly. These things, when you think it's small and you're having these conversations, you don't know all of what that is doing, because it is seeding your brain with so many different experiences. And it's those experiences, even albeit brief experiences with someone you just met in the street that said something, and then next thing you know, that something, that small thing they said, which had nothing to do with your project, inspires you to a whole different idea or a whole different way of looking at something. But you have to open yourself up for that. You're not going to find it on social media. Sorry. So if you're finding yourself spending a whole lot of time on there, that should just be something you do business-wise, and it should be set time, and then you're off. Be with real people, be in real relationship, and you will see that if you find that you're racing mind or you're blocked, you're going to find a lot of ways around the block with real relationships, with real people, and real conversation. I just want to say, I'm going to move to the next thing, but I met someone earlier this week, which is fabulous, a doctor that I'm going to be doing some work with. And he's like, just call. No text, no email. I just want to talk on the phone. I said, I don't have anybody that says that anymore. This is amazing. This is amazing. I love it. And it was amazing that it would even be amazing to me. That's how far removed we are from real talk with new people you meet. So give yourself that, and that dedicated 15 minutes of care. That's a mandatory. I'm just not going to have anything about that. The last thing I'm going to talk about here is the fitness effect. And the fitness effect, so brain-body connection, how you move, how you fuel your body. And so the movement is so very critical to everything that we do. I talked about focus before, but so much science behind your ability to concentrate, your memory, your ability to regulate what's happening in your system. So, eliminating those things that can get in the way of relationship and team building. So it puts you in a better, I mentioned mood earlier, it's going to put you in the better of the moods, because it's going to have that endorphin release. That's just incredible. Now, I have someone here, I'm sure you're not wearing that to work. I don't know. You might be, but let's just say you're not. One of the things that I love to do, and it's an easy thing to do for yourself as well when you're at work, is to go in and measure out how far it takes you to get from one place to another. I used to do this when I worked in the hospital for the staff, so we knew it was, 30 steps here, 150 steps there, 1,000 steps on the other side. And so we measure out these things and had ways of exercising that is not, I have to go to the gym. And on another Coach's Corner I run, we had a doctor in that was talking about latest science, talking about it is better for the movement in your tissue. You get more out of it, constant movement in your tissue. right? So constant movement in your tissue, which means you getting up instead of sitting at the computer screen, having things in your office, in your room. I call it like, one of the things I was working with pilots. We were doing a program and we were saying, like, we don't have time, we can't move. How can we move? So we were talking about different things that you can have, different pieces of equipment, different small things that fold up that you can have in your desk that allow you constantly to be in movement. And this particular doctor that was talking at this platform was comparing the person that sits all day and then goes to the gym for an hour and health continuum to the person that is in constant movement and maybe didn't get to the gym. Now, obviously, if you can be in constant movement and get to the gym, that's great. But if you had to choose between the two, I need you to move. And so this movement does a couple of things besides putting you further along the health continuum, besides really helping you in the process of just all the things that are regulating in your body on a constant basis, right? Because we want to limit the stress. I haven't even talked about the fact that stress is really a leading cause to so many different diseases. So for a multitude of reasons, we want to, for our heart health, cardiovascular health, our circulatory health, our immune health, we want to combat stress. And so even short bursts of movement are going to get you to that parasympathetic nervous system and allow really for you to rest and digest and put you into, clearer thinking. So another thing that you can do, which I think is really amazing, I think I talked about on the next slide, but I want you to think about this. Have you ever been out? So I talked about, waking up and having a great idea and writing it down and having a journal. I have one that's right by my bedside, just stays there. But equal to that, to having that, I call it, I call it a lot of different things, but I have my God book. So it's God's journal. So it's the things that downloaded in me at any moment in the time. I don't know what's going to happen. So a lot of times it's when you are not so tied up in dealing and talking and trying to figure out and, and I say this for the person that put in the racing mind, and I know it was more than one, but have you ever had one of those days where you come into work and you say, you know what, I'm going to sit down where the team is going to meet. We have to solve this problem. But the first thing you do is you start answering all your emails, and then if someone calls and distracts you about something else, and someone comes in your office, and then next thing you know, it's the morning has gone and you are not anywhere near that list that you made for yourself. So you now add to the list because someone bought something else for you. So the list that was supposed to be shorter now is longer. Okay. And you haven't really completed. The brain needs a break. And exercise is what will give it the break, and it will foster in clear thinking. And as I mentioned before, those good feel good hormones. But here you are, when you take that brain break, equal to waking up, you want to have something. I have a little tiny book. It's just for those kind of ideas that come to me. So the idea would be to have that, to take that break. And if you can do it in nature, that would be great. If you can just go outside, even if you say, I'm taking 10 minutes, and you go outside and make sure you have your little trusty book and you just breathe and you walk and you breathe and you walk. If you can put your bare feet on the ground, that's 2 thumbs up. You will be amazed at what kind of ideas can come to heart when you do something as simple as that. So this is what it is. What I'm saying is that you have that computer screen just staring at you. I know I love writing articles. And sometimes I have, deadline, right? And I'm just staring at that one paragraph and I'm reading it a lot. And that one paragraph, thumbs up, well written. But the article does not one paragraph make. So I'm staring at the screen, and if you find this way, I'm just creatively blocked. I'm overthinking it. I'm too in my left brain trying to map it out, and I just need this ability. So what this does is, even if you bring your phone with you, you can record your ideas. Oh, that's so good. Do you know how much recording? Sometimes I just have to take time to go back and listen to the recording. But this is what, so these are the five, and I wanted to see that they are stackable. They are not in isolation of one another, but you can deal and pluck one out and do one and really focus in on, so they can have an isolation aspect. But my hope, my goal for today is to give you that breath effect, that art effect, that rim effect, that daily habit effect, that fitness effect. I want you to think of them all in a continuum, a stackable continuum that is going to bring you closer to your ability to unleash what is already inside. My goal really is, when I speak and when I go to places, is after working with a team or after working with an individual, for them, maybe they didn't think they were the top creative person, but now they know that they are. So I love for people, everyone's hand to go up. Who's the creative in this group? Instead of saying it's Max or Linda, it's everyone. It's like, well, we're all creative, and recognize that we're all creative in different ways. So for each and every one of these things, and I just wanted to take a moment just to let you know just a little bit about why I'm doing this and why I'm here and why I put this 15-minute consultation and what I want to gain from that. I have been really working in corporate space and small individual companies for a while. And it's always been fascinating to me, coming in different aspects. So if I came in and they said, you know what, Lisa, we really want you to put together something in wellness, and I say, okay, well, that's great. So what fitness classes will you bring in, and what yoga instructor are you going to hire? Because people see it. And I wrote about it in my book. We see it in silos. We see it in buckets, right? So here's the fitness bucket, and here's the eating bucket. Got to get that right. And here's my relationship bucket and my spiritual bucket. And, so everything is in these little isolated silos. But the only problem is we are only one person. We are brain-body connectivity. And that requires us to take all of those individual silos and make sure that we're looking at them as one holistic, integrated being. And so what I love to bring to the table is this idea that it is, when we talk about creativity, you notice I was talking about relationships. Well, most people don't think about relationships with creativity, but yet it is everything. It's tied to every single thing that you think of wellness touches. And so if you are having trouble team-wise building a team, or what we call a trouble person on the team, sometimes the trouble is not just from the person. And so ways of coming around and ways of creatively coming in and saying, all hands on deck, all tools are welcome. And 1, 2, 5 of those tools will be so meaningful to different people. But whatever it is going to help that team to function better, because it's going to unlock the better of them. So that is the kind of programming that I'm very passionate about. It's something that maybe to the chagrin of some people that have brought me on in consulting, I can be like a broken record when I hear silos starting to be built, because that's the old way of looking at it. And in this time when we have been so inundated with stress, and mentioning before that the World Health Organization says it's an epidemic of burnout, that we have to come at it in a different way. Old ways are not going to work. And they just need a breath of fresh air. And so coming in often and I just shared with you, one of the hospitals I worked at that had already a wellness company, which is great. Every company should have a well. If you're on here and your company doesn't have a wellness company, call me, let me know, because they should at this point in time. But what I love to do is come in and help the programs work better. Come in and give an integrated way of getting more participation, or come in as a problem solver on just a particular group that needs to move forward in a positive direction and just needs a different way of coming at how do we relate, how do we move forward. And so if that sounds interesting to you, or you know someone that could sound interesting to, well, that's why I really wanted to have this as a free consultation. I want to be the problem solver on that. And, and often I would love for anyone that has any questions, please, you can just put them in the chat. I think is probably the easiest way. I'm just going to look through and making sure. I thank you for putting in the NASA 26-minute power nap, because I probably would have failed to mention it, but I love that. The other thing, yes, I'm just looking at what some people have put in the chat. So I appreciate all the comments of everyone that has put something in. But as I said, any questions that you have, I don't ever do anything and say, well, you didn't ask your question right away, so I'm done. If something comes to you later, please, please, please stay in contact with me. Let me know what that is. But really, I love for you to jump on a consultation, and then at least let's make sure that we stay connected. I thank you, Julie, for that. Yes, Brainy, she says breath, journaling, exercise, voice memos. Boy, yes, all of it. Thank you, Julie, for that. That is exactly, if you got that out of, that's exactly what I want. And I appreciate your comment, and thank you for that, Michael, as well. Some of you I am already in good contact with, and so yes, I look forward to just enhancing and increasing all of our relationships. And I just put here my contact, take a picture of the screen is great. If you need anything other than, LinkedIn, of course, I think a number of us are connected on LinkedIn already. Should you connect with me directly, I have some amazing ebooks on sleep. And so that's an added little benefit, because someone called me at once, and so I said, boy, I kind of like that. But I don't know if you remember the dog whisperer. The guy could talk, Caesar something. He could talk to the dogs. So I said, I'm the sleep whisperer. So I can talk to you internally, to your cells, and really move you in a better capacity to sleep. So even on that alone, that just might be something that you might want to bring into your staff. Thank you so much. I know you heard me give you a little shout out. There are people here that I am looking forward to in the future to be able to see in person. But I thank you for joining me today. And as I said, this is an ongoing commitment on my part. So anything that you need and anything that we covered, and you wanted some more information, my heart to yours. I will be there for you 100%.